Well, hello, this is Vincent Green, and we're going to continue our look at Old Testament Hebrew. Now, in our previous couple of sessions, we talked about the alphabet. I went through the alphabet, told you about the order of the alphabet, how some of the words have dots in them, and we're going to learn more about what all that means moving forward. But and that there's final forms. And so if you're looking at the screen, this is kind of a zoomed out version of the textbook. So this was the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, in the order and that chart that I showed you. And these were those letters that have the dots in them. So this is that part of the textbook. And then we talked about the phonetical values. I was showing you that as we were walking through that. Well, today we're going to be looking at section C in the textbook called Vowel Signs, and then section D, an explanation of writing. So that's what we're going to cover in this video, and I just wanted to give you the kind of the where we're at with the textbook, and then zoom in here because I want you to be able to see this. And again, we're not really going to be translating for a little while. There's some sections that we have to cover that just kind of give us an acquaintance with how the Hebrew Bible looks, how the Old Testament looks, and being able to read it in terms of just knowing the letters. And all of the letters that we've learned are consonant letters, practically speaking. You'll see a little bit of nuance with that as we go, but for practical purposes, think of the letters that we've learned as consonant letters, but language has vowels in it. And so how do vowels operate in the Hebrew grammar or Hebrew language? Now, originally, there were no what we call vowel signs or vowel points, is what we're going to call these. There was none of those in the original. And so some of the consonant letters were used like vowels, and we'll become acquainted with that in short order. But I just want to take you to this section because when you look at a Hebrew Bible today, if you take a look like at this Hebrew Bible, this is Genesis 1:1. If you notice, there are the consonant letters, and I told you we start from the right, go towards the left, we read this way. If you notice, there are other dots showing up above letters and below letters. These little marks here, and some of these marks are called vowel signs. Not all of them, but some of them are. And so you need to be acquainted with all of this before you can really start looking at Hebrew, looking at the Old Testament and beginning to translate it. So that's why we're slowly going through all of this. And so what we want to look at today is vowel signs. Vowel signs. And let me blow this screen up just a lot more here because I want you to realize or kind of see what's going on here. And I got some other screens that I'm going to show you that may even show this better. So what you're seeing is these what I call vowel points. So when you look at Hebrew, you see those vowel points. I was showing them to you here. They show up under letters. Sometimes they show up above letters. And now the dots that happen within the letters, that's a different thing, okay, for the most part. But you just want to be aware of this. So let me kind of start to walk you through this. In the vowels, there are short vowels and long vowels. So words are made up of consonants and vowels. And so you need to think about that way. If you're familiar with any other language, like especially like Greek, there's vowels and consonants. Even within English, there's vowels and consonants. And so we want to recognize that for Hebrew. And so let me talk about the short vowels. Now what you see here, this line represents a Hebrew character, Hebrew letter. Okay, so this is showing that this is below the line, below the letter. Um, like over here, it shows that it's above the letter, so there's a sample of that. And so we're going to walk through each one of these. I just want to walk through them, describe them to you so that you're aware of them. And I also have another screen that will show these maybe a little bit more clearer, and you actually see them with a letter, actually how they look when they're with with a Hebrew character, with a Hebrew letter or consonant. So the first one is pathak. Pathak is what we call it. It's just a little, it's like a slash. It's like the slash mark, or not a slash, but a dash, sorry. Dash mark under the letter. And it's the short letter for alpha, I want to say alpha. I'm thinking of, I merged my Greek in with Hebrew. The letter A, as in had. So it's a short A sound. Um, and so it just looks like that. Now, if you want to see it with under a letter, then it's think of it like that's what it would look like. This is the bait, right? Bait, second letter of the alphabet with a dot in it. And so think of the pathak showing up below it. It has it as A and bat. Bat. Had, bat. It's the short A sound. Okay? Then we have the E sound. We call it segol. Segol. And it has the E in bed. Bed. So this is a short vowel. These are short vowels. And so it's three dots. It seems like, doop, doop, doop. It's, you're like, who came up with this? Don't worry about that as much as this is what it looks like. So it's you'll get familiar with these. You want to go through these and memorize these and be acquainted with these. There's a way to learn that process. I'm going to show you by the time we get to the end of the video. Um, but I just want you to be aware that pathak is an A sound. The E sound, short E, segol, segol. Then you have the short I sound. So vowels are A, E, I, O, and U, right? So there's Hebrew equivalents to that, to these sounds. So the short I sound is called hirik, hirik, I as in lid. So again, imagine this is the letter and it's a dot below the letter. So here again is a little bit more about that. There's pathak, there's segol, E as in better, hirik, there's your dot below the letter, I as in bitter. So you're seeing, these. I got a different grammar book. Just you can only learn this one way, and so that you see it with a letter, how it would look with a letter in appearance. Here, the next one, we have kibbutz, kibbutz, and this is one reason why I'm showing it in a different book as well, because that's three dots, just like that. That's three dots right here, but they're like they're put side by side each other, descending down. So that's the oo sound, the U sound as in bull. You would see that here. There's a little bit better picture of it. Kibbutz, U as in ruler, the U vowel, class vowel. And then we have kamatz hatuf, kamatz hatuf, and it's like a little cross symbol, it looks like, under the letter. And that's your O sound as in top, top, okay? And so it would look like that. Kamatz hatuf. O as in bottle, bottle. So you want to go through these. I've placed in Quizlet, if you're using the Quizlet app, I've placed something that more looks like this, the letters with the dots or with the different symbols under them. And then you may wonder why is that spelling different than this spelling? You see that H with a dot, and that represents CH. So Segol, Segol, that just a different way of spelling the names of the vowel points. So it's still the same, we still call it the same thing. But I have the letters, so it's going to look like this. with the vowel point underneath, and then you can, on one side of the card, on the other side of the card would be this kind of information here. Okay, and that way you could memorize these and learn these as you need to and as you can, because you got to learn these just as much as you have to the consonants. Here's the long vowels. Now, to start with, we have A, E, I, O, and U, so the same 5 classifications, but these are the long forms. Now, I want you to notice something. This one's called kamats. Kamats. Does that look very familiar? It's the same vowel, well, the same symbol as here, kamats hatuf. So one is called kamats, the other one's called kamats hatuf. So the longer sounding name is the shorter vowel. Get the idea here? The longer sounding name is the shorter vowel. So you want to be aware of that. And so you say, well, when do we use kamat satuf? When is it the short O as compared to the long A as in yard? When would that be? Well, um, we're going to look at that. After we finish going through just these vowel charts, there's some things that we'll be talking about, and I'll mention that. Okay. So for now, just know that there is a long vowel. Kamats means it's the ah or the a sound in yard. See how that different sound that is? Yard, yard. Here we have sere, sere. These are the e sounding letters. It's the e as in they. So it can look one of two ways. It can have just 2 dots side by side under the letter, or it can have 2 dots with a yod after it. Remember I told you that some of these consonants originally served as vowels? Well, yod was one of them. And so you just want to be aware of that. So this is the E sound, and in the word they, again, it can show up by itself or with the yod appearing after the letter. So you'd have the letter here with the yod after it and the 2 dots underneath the letter. Does that make sense? Do they have that here in this one? They don't have it in this particular grammar book. Maybe this one. Here it is. So here you see this one shows what it would look like, the 2 dots with the yod after it. So that is the same as just it appearing by itself with the 2 dots by itself. So it could be like that, or it could look like that. Either way, it's the same pronunciation value. Okay, that's what this means. When this little bracket here, see that little bracket there, it just means they're the same, they're grouped together. It can look one way or the other. So that's the E class vowel for the long. Now the I class vowel is called long heuric. So when you just say heuric, well, you can have short heuric, long heuric, and if it's long, it's the I as in machine. Now, how do you tell the difference? When you have the dot, just one dot, it's short. When you have the dot with the yod after it, then it's long. Here, they function in the same way. Because if you have a short E sound, it's going to be the 3 dots, right? You see the difference. You have to learn these. You have to learn what the difference is between the A sounds, the E sounds, the I sounds. So you're not just learning them down the page, you're learning them in terms of going across the page to see the difference between the short and the long versions of them. So if you have the dot with the yod, then you're looking at the long sound and see there is, they call it heuric yod, is another name for it instead of long heuric. And so you see the dot with the yod after it. Okay. Now you have shurek, and this is the waw or vav. I like to call it vav even though it's technically waw. I like to call it vav. But anyway, sometimes you may hear me say that, vav. But it's the wa sound with the dot in the middle. You go, wait a minute, that dot, that's not a begad kafat letter. That's not one of those 6 letters that functions in a certain way when the dot's there. This dot is actually the vowel. So vowel symbols can show up below or above or actually in the letter itself. Okay? In the letter itself. So you have to be able to distinguish it. And that's why the begad kafat letters, which are the ones, the 6 letters that we learned in our previous videos, when we learned the alphabet, that dot doesn't represent a vowel, it represents a strong consonant sound. So you have to learn those letters because you're going to find that certain vowels can show up in letters. And Shurek is one of them. So if I see a dot here, that's a U sound, like in the word flute. Flute. See if I can find one here. Not in this chart. Sometimes they'll be in one chart and not in another chart. Yeah, not in these charts. So, but you will find it, Shurek. And then you have the holum. And so again, it's grouped together. It could look like this or just a dot. Now this is a dot above the letter, so I think I can show you that one. There's the holum. See the letter? Now that dot is because what we call dagesh forte. That is the begad kafat. That's the dots because of the pronunciation value of the consonant. The holum is the little dot up there. So that's the O as in roll, R-O-L-E, roll. So it can be the dot by itself above the letter, or it can be, you can have like the letter with the vav letter with the dot above it, something like that. And so I think I moved my page by accident. There we go. Let me zoom back in. So you just want to be aware of that. So let me see if I can find that in this chart here. Yeah, it would look something like, okay, there's your Shurek that has the U sound. You see how it has the letter. There's nothing underneath this letter, so because that would be the B sound, sharp B, and then the U sound. Here would be more like O and whole. It's called a U-class vowel, but really for our purposes, we're using wine green O-class vowel. That's one reason why showing you sometimes other grammar books can confuse you. But I'm just showing you because I want you to see it with the letter. So here's the bait letter, and then there's the holum. So you can see the O-class vowel like this. There's the U-class vowel. But again, you may just see the dot by itself just above the letter. Or the dot on a separate letter, the vav letter or the wav letter after it. So these are different ways in which the words or the vowel points can appear with the letters inside the words. So you just have to be aware of that. Again, I'm going to put all of this in Quizlet so that you have it at your availability to kind of learn these. You want to learn these as you go down the page, okay? You want to start with, A, E, I, O, U, short and long. So what is the A vowel? What is the E vowel, I vowel, O vowel, and U vowel in Hebrew, okay? So you want to memorize them down the page. You also want to memorize across. So the A short and long, the E vowel short and long, the I vowel short and long, the U vowel short and long, the O vowel short and long. So you want to just know those differences, okay? Just know those differences. So it's a lot of, you may want to draw the letters and then put the dots underneath them. Practice doing some of that. For example, like if I want to do, let me um, do it this way. Turn on my screen drawing, and get my pen here and see how this would work. So if I want to draw a letter, so I could draw like the bait. It's not the best. I could put the dot in there or not, but I could do it like this. Just a slash mark underneath that. That's the pathak. Um, I could make it kamats like that. I could make the holam be like that. So you see how I'm doing this. Sagol, let's see if I can erase this part here. Nope, it's not really erasing for me, so let me just draw it again. So let me, oops, gotta get onto my line here. Line draw. So draw it again. So, not the perfect letter, but then I could try other forms. Like this is my hirek here. Could do it that way. Could draw the letter like this. No, that's not a good one. Needs to be more curved. And then I could, let me try it again this way. I want to do so I could do it like this. And I could put the dot in there for just the dot that goes with the letter, with the bait letter. And then there's the O vowel. So the O vowel could show up here by itself or be a separate letter. So you may want to practice doing some of that kind of drawing. You may want to do something like that. That can be helpful to you, and in terms of the drawing of them. And let me get out of this, hide my screen draw, and then come back here. So you see the different vowel points, and we're going to get to the place where we're putting words together. You're going to see that before the end of the video, and we're going to be able to kind of see how these vowels work. But this is the vowels that you have to learn, okay? Now, I want to zoom out just a little bit here because I'm going to take you down here to the reading that's below this. There's a few notes that you need to be aware of, 3 notes in particular about the vowels. So the vowels for long A and short O, that's the kamats hatuf, and for the kamats by itself, that's the long A sound, are both represented by the same sign. So I pointed that out to you. When we get to section number 7, so the way the book is designed, it's section A and B, which is the alphabet. C and D is what we're looking at right now. After we get through D, after this video, then it starts the way the book is outlined. It's section 1, 2, 3, 4, just continuing, okay? So these are like different sections, and so every video will cover so many sections. But section number 7, which appears on page 12 of the book, explains how to determine which vowel this sign represents when it occurs in a word. So he's not answering that question right now. For the time being, until we reach section number 7, it may be taken as kamats, A. So we're going to just take it as the long sound. We're not going to worry about this right now. So there's going to be some practice assignments that you can do coming up. I'm going to show it to you at the end of the video of how you write the letters, how you write words, and and how you put the vowel sounds or the vowel points in there and the vowel symbols in the wording. And so for now, we're just going to take it as Kamat's A, the long sound, for anything right now up to number 7. Once we get to section number 7, he's going to explain to us the difference between when is it a Kamat's A and when is it Kamat's Hatuf, the short sound. So before we can learn the difference, he has to teach us some other things. So right now, don't worry about it. I just want you to see, though, that the Kamat's Hatuf and the Kamat's A, it is the same symbol, but they represent different vowel sounds. Okay? So the next, he says most vowel signs appear below the consonants. And so you have ba, bu, be. See, that's the short E sound. Ba, boo, be. And notice how he does it. If it's a long sound, see, he's taking that as Kamat's A. Then it's A with the dash above it. So you'll see how he does it up here. A with a dash, E with a dash, R, E with a caret, I with a caret, U with a caret, O with a caret or a dash. So that, see, without the dash or caret, it's the short representation. With the line above or the caret, it's the long representation when you want to take this letter here and this letter and vowel combination and specify it in that terms. So most vowel signs appear below the consonant, but shurek and full holum are placed after it. So you have boo and bo. See that? So I was showing you that in those other books, but he brings it out here. While the other form of holum is a dot placed over the letter. See that? You can do it that way. So this kind of fills the gaps of what I was telling you earlier and showing you in the way the vowels can look and how they can appear and will appear in the biblical text. Now, caution must be exercised in giving each vowel its true phonetical sound. The student must not think of Hebrew vowel signs in terms of English vowels, even though we are adopting it that way. I mean, we didn't live back in those days. We don't know the full pronunciation. Even modern spoken Hebrew may not be exactly the same in terms of its pronunciation, exactly like it should be or was back in the days of Moses and in the time of David. Language does evolve, and if you want to use that term, it does change, it does adapt. So we're using those conventions to help us to better understand. Again, we're not trying to master pronunciation value. We're wanting to be able to translate. We're wanting to be able to put the Hebrew text in our mother tongue. And we want to be able to translate for the purposes of of just good reading and good exegesis. So we're not going to worry about trying to pronounce exactly like they were doing it in the days of Moses. There's no way to reduplicate that, as you cannot reduplicate Koine Greek in the first century. So these are adaptations. So he wants to make a note of that. Like for example, he says the sound of kamatz is really a ah. Shurek is o. Sere is I. So there's the main thing is don't get hung up on pronunciation as much as being able to recognize what you're looking at. That's the point of all this. That's the point of language learning, is recognizing what you're looking at. Okay? So, let me zoom out just a little bit here. Here's an explanation. This is letter D. Hebrew is written about how you write these letters. Hebrew is written from right to left, so that a word having, for example, the consonants L, M, or D, Lamed, Mem, Dalet, the vowels being placed under or after the consonants. So it would look like that. That is the way it looks. These are the consonants from right to left, and then you have the vowels pointing under it. So you learn to pronounce it like this: la mud or la mad, and this one is la mud, la mud. Can you hear the syllable division in there? This is two syllables, la mud. That's why you see a dash right there, la mud. And notice how he's representing the English characters to match the charts that he has given us in chart A and then the chart in letter C. So that this is going to be important for some of the exercises that he's going to give us that you can work on. So lamud, lamad. And so that's how you read from right to left. Okay. Let's come up here. Once the consonants and vowels are known, syllables are easily formed. A syllable, you got to understand this, okay? A syllable regarded as open, so there's open syllables and closed syllables, okay? So what is an open syllable? You need to learn that language. Open syllable, closed syllable. So what is an open syllable? An open syllable consists of a consonant and a vowel. Consonant and a vowel. As like ba, be, boo, bo. A consonant is said to be closed when it consists of a consonant and a vowel followed by another consonant. So it's a CVC pattern, not just CV. CV is open, CVC has two consonants in it with a vowel in between. So you have bar, bear, boor, and bore. Bur and bore. So they do sound different. I may not be the best in pronunciation, but these are different sounds, right? Because they have different vowels. Notice the same two consonant letters, the bait and the resh, but based on the different vowels makes them sound different ways, right? So it's important to remember that a syllable begins with a consonant. It always begins with a consonant. It cannot begin with a vowel. So that, for example, the two-syllable word barad, barad. Technically, I'm pronouncing it hard. It's really barath, barath, barath. It's a softer sounding D, right? It cannot be bar-odd. It's not bar and then oth, bar-oth. It has to be barad because you have to have, that one's an open syllable, that one's a closed syllable. Because a syllable cannot begin with a vowel. It always has to begin with a consonant letter. Even the consonant letters that are silent. Remember the two silent consonant letters? So you think of all of these as consonants, and the vowels are the little dots and the symbols that go around it. It follows too that a vowel must be preceded by a consonant. So you cannot have a arath. That's not a syllable either. So when reading a word which has more than one syllable, it is best for beginners to treat each syllable separately. Thus, and that's why he gives a little separation here. Bar or ba, rath, barath, barath. Okay? And here's a reading exercise that you can do this. You can get some practice doing this. This will help you as a beginner. So you think of ba, bath, bath, badath, bathath, really, bathath, baz, bazaz, bazuz, bam, bamo, bamot, or bamoth, bamotham, ban, banu, banim. You see how I'm just reading from right to left? Banot, bar, barath, bahar, be. So he's giving different combinations, and he's using the bait letter first in these examples. But if you work your way through this, pronouncing these words, this will give you, this is the Hebrew word. This is called the transliteration value. Okay? What you see under here, that's the transliteration value. My highlighting's not working correctly. So ba, bath, bathath, baz, bazaz, bazuz, that's the transliteration value. So you have an English equivalent letter for the Hebrew character and the vowel points. And you practice this a few times. Just kind of work your way through it, and you'll see this will help you in terms of being able to um, pronounce the words, see the vowels, learn the vowels, learn the different vowels. And if you do see this vowel symbol here, treat it as the long A sound. For right now, that's how we're doing it. Don't worry about trying to figure out if that's the long A or the short O sound. Treat it as the long A. And that's some practice that you can do. Comes all the way down to the page here. So if I zoom out, you can see it here on the page, and that's a good paragraph it looks like a paragraph of words. They don't really form sentences. These are just individual words for the purpose of just this is like I said, the Hebrew. This is the transliterated. So the reading exercise is transliterated. That's the transliteration to help you in terms of being able to read these and get familiar with the vowels and the consonants. And so that's why he put this together. You want to practice this a few times. You want to go over this a few times. That will be some help to you. Okay? So now, let me go to the next page. So, the consonant, zoom in just a little bit more. The consonant aleph, I want to say alpha, get my Greek confused sometimes. Aleph. The consonant aleph is silent, so that only its vowel is heard, even though it is a consonant. Yet in the transcription, it must be represented by the smooth breathing sign. So you see aleph with the kamats, the A, long A sound, you would write it from left to right, the transliteration. So you'd have the smooth breathing plus the long A. So think of it this way. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. See, it's a silent letter, but you say, well, wait a minute, is that really a syllable? Yes, because even though it's silent, it's still a consonant. It just doesn't have a vocalized sound to that consonant. That's unique for us if you're English speakers. Except when we did talk about this, you know how the word honest, Honest, we really don't say the word, we don't say the letter H. We really just start with honest, right? It's a silent H letter. So in English, we actually have a few words like that. We just don't think about it. Well, Hebrew had a lot. And so every word that began with an aleph began with a silent letter. And so you just learn that. You just get familiar with that. So this is ah, av. See, I'm not pronouncing that consonant even though it is one. Avi, avinu, e, el, eli, ish, evan, et, elef, or, orot, or uroth, harav, or ha'av. Now it's in the middle. Here it was at the beginning. Here it's in the middle. Ha, av, ha'av, ma'or, ma'or, me ha adam, me ha adam, me ha adam. Again, the aleph is silent, so I'm not pronouncing it. I'm not saying the vocal equivalent of, well, I am saying the vocal equivalent of the aleph because it's silent. There's no vocal sounds to it. So there's kind of like a pause. You sense the pause. Me ha adam. Me ha adam. So you're sounding two vowels after each other because that's silent, but there's that slight pause that allows you to do that. This is just how the Hebrews spoke. So you want to be aware of that. Now, what you have here is some sample exercises that you can work through. Here are some Hebrew words. And so what he wants you to do here is take the Hebrew word and write the English transliteration of it. Okay? That's what he wants you to do. Take the Hebrew word and write the English transliteration value of it. So let me just do a couple of these for you to show what I'm talking about. I'm gonna hide it and then get my document up here. There we go. And then show the screen draw. So if I'm looking at this letter right up here, this one right up here, so S, now that's seen, right? Because the dot's on the, so seen and sheen. So I think that one has that symbol there. That's okay if you don't get that. A, that's the long A. So I'm going to put a slash above that. And then that's an M. Now, basically, I probably should do it like this. S, A, and then put a dash to represent the syllable division. M, and then we have the, that's the pathak. So that's the short A sound, the short A sound. So we have A here. See, that one's long, this one's short. Ma, so sha, ma, and then we have the yod, which is a Y sound. Then we have the dot, which that's the short hirek, so that's the I sound. And then we have final mem, shamayim, shamayim. Can I tell you something? You know what the word for shamayim is? Heavens. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Shamayim. Here we have another one. So this is our W sound. So there we go, W. And then we have the kamats, A, Wa. And then we have the silent letter, the Aleph, right? So I just make the breathing. So that's syllable number 1, syllable number 2, and then Retz. So that's R, and that's the Sigol. So that's the short E sound. And then you have final. Remember that one? Think about it. Remember that one? That's the final letter. Final Sade. And so it's like a TS sound. So it usually would go like this. You would put the S mark and then put a dot underneath it is how he does it. If you go back to the chart, you'll see that. So, wa'aretz, 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 wa'ar, well, wa'aretz, wa'aretz, wa'aretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens, shamayim, and the earth, wa'aretz. These two words right here come from Genesis 1:1. So that's this part. You take the Hebrew characters and you and what you do is you write out the English transliteration value. Okay? So what comes next? Let me hide my screen draw. Scroll down. Now, transcribe into Hebrew. So here we want to start on the left side, not the right side. We want to start on the left side, and we want to go this way forward. And these are the English transliterations, and we want to draw the letters. So let me get back my piece of paper here. Get back to my show screen draw. Okay, let's see if we can do the first one here. So we have moat. So this would be, so I want to draw from right to left. I'm going to go this way with drawing. So I got my mem. And so the way this works is come up here like so. No, I want to do it differently. It's difficult to do it sometimes when you have this electronic pen. Kind of like that is one way to show it. And let me draw it again. You come over like this, goes and connect, and then you have a little hash mark like that. It's one way to do it. So then we have, so this one would be the long O sound. So we can do it one of two ways. Technically, we could do it one of two ways. We could have, since this is the long O sound, what you would want to do is go back to the vowel chart, and the way he's drawing it with the caret symbol, he's choosing this one. So he's choosing the holum to be like that with the dot, and then so you have moth. Then it's the same thing, moth T, and so you have the, we can just add to this, you have the caret with the I sound, and so when you have the caret with the I sound, that's the long herrick, so you're adding in a dot here, and the long one, see, that's the short I, this is the long I, so it's a dot with a yod after it. So that is moat, or moth, T. Get the idea? Let me try another one. Lamed. So you have Lamed. And that's one of those letters that takes up a lot of space. Like so. Lamed. And then we have the long I, or long, sorry, A sound. So that is kamats, right? You have kamats. So what I like to do, here's how I like to do it. And let me just show you the kind of the short version. I try to draw, instead of drawing it, the character or the consonant, then the vowel, what I'll do is sometimes I'll try to draw the actual consonants first. So I see a consonant here, the M consonant, which is mu, and then the final tav, right? The tav. Then I put my vowels in. So there's the long A, there's the Kamat's A, and then my oo, but see, sometimes doing that, I don't do it right. So sometimes you can do it that way, sometimes you can't. So let me do it again. And it comes, this is just time to practice you doing this. La mut, la mut. So I didn't leave space for that shurik, which has inside of the wav consonant. So that's really a vowel. La muth, la muth. So you want to try some more practice with that. You want to work with that and get a handle of that. It's the best way to kind of learn the letters and the consonants, learn the vowels, and learn the different, like I said, the consonant and the vowels. Learn how they go together. Learn how they're put together. Learn all of the various aspects of it, because the more you can have more comfortableness in reading the language, the better it's going to be for you. And so this is to help you get started. So work on that. I'll have a Quizlet. You can look down in the YouTube description box below. You'll see all kinds of links there. I'm going to have a little quiz for you so you can kind of test yourself on your knowledge of the vowels and know which one's which. And so, have a little test for you like that. Use the Quizlet program to help you learn the vowels. Do some practice transcribing. I'm going to have in the quiz some various Hebrew words that you could transcribe. I'll probably just copy some of these, give you some examples from here. So just to kind of give you another way to look at it. But you want to practice writing the letters out using the transliteration, transcribe into Hebrew. You want to be able to take the Hebrew. And transcribe into English transliteration words or letters, because doing it both ways is going to help you. So spend some time practicing that. That's really the next thing to do. It'll help you learn the alphabet. It'll help solidify that into your memory, and also learning the vowel signs, what they look like, how they operate, and it'll just make it so that you can understand syllables, because some of the things we're going to be learning moving forward is based upon you learning this right now. Okay? We're going to talk more about vowels. We're going to talk about open and closed syllables. We're going to talk about other things that show up in the Hebrew text, some other characters and things of that nature. So you want to be aware of that. Okie doke. Well, let me pray for us as we get to the near end of our video, and this is again what you want to be working on right now before you watch the next video. Get some of this done before you watch the next video and just progress forward. Okay? Dear Lord, we just thank you again for all your blessings to us. We thank you for how you work in our lives, how you reign supreme in our life. Lord, we just pray that your will be done. And Lord, that we can learn Hebrew grammar. Lord, that we can learn your truth and learn how to translate the Hebrew Bible. Lord, we thank you for giving us this opportunity to learn the Hebrew language. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Well, if you have any questions about anything, just leave a comment below, and I will definitely be able to respond to that. Okay? Take care. God's blessings. We'll see you in the next video.